We'll be doing reading and stretching. Just waiting for 8 p.m. to hit, and then we'll start. And we are here. Tonight, we'll be reading Be the Best You Can Be. We've already read one story from this book, How Could This Happen to Me? The next story, The Key to Being Friends Again. Deanne and Judy were close friends. A sharp disagreement, however, led to the breakup of their friendship. Noticing this, a friendly teacher talked to them about it, saying she wanted to help. She showed them a steel bar she used in her physics class. The bar had been broken and welded together again and was now stronger than ever. The key to welding their friendship together again was being able to forgive one another. One thing to keep in mind, even though the bar had been broken and welded again, so it was stronger, it was not the same bar. So keep that in mind when it comes to friendship. The key to being friends again. Deanne and Judy have been best friends for over a year. They walked to school together every morning. They studied together in the evening and went out on weekends, shopping and going to the movies. When Deanne suggested to Judy that they give a party, Judy quickly agreed. They decided that they would have the party at Deanne's house, and they spent several weeks talking about their plans. Everything went along fine until one day, Judy came to Deanne and said, "Here's the list of people I'm going to ask to our party. I know it's a little long, but I'm sure we'll have room for them." Deanne looked over the list and was horrified. There were some people on the list she didn't like. But even more disturbing, she was surprised that Judy considered them to be friends of hers. Deanne said, "Judy, I can't believe some of the names that are on this list. I just won't have them in my house." Judy replied angrily, "Deanne, you're just being selfish. These are my friends and I want them to come." They began to argue about it, and Deanne said, "You're ruining everything. I didn't know you were so stubborn." "I am not," Judy shouted. "You're the one that's ruining everything. You're selfish and narrow-minded." "Well, if that's what you think of me," Deanne cried, "you're not invited either." At that, Judy, with tears in her eye, left. Deanne was so upset, she decided to cancel the party. Here's the picture of Deanne and Judy with the teacher. Very soon it was all over the school that Judy and Deanne were avoiding one another. The breakup of their friendship was also noticed by Mrs. Rubinez, one of their teachers. She taught physics at the school and took a personal interest in her students. One day after class, Mrs. Rubinez told Deanne and Judy that she would like to talk to them. When the other students had left the classroom, she said, "There seems to be something wrong between you two, and I'd like to help." There was a silence. Both girls looked very uneasy. The teacher said, "Why don't you tell me about it? I really do want to help." The girls still did not speak. Then Judy said hesitatingly, "Okay, I guess we can tell you about it, Mrs. Rubinez, but I don't think we can help." When the girls had explained the situation, and each had told her side of the story, Mrs. Rubinez asked, "Do you want to be friends again?" Neither girl said anything, but glanced at each other as though waiting for the other one to speak first. At that point, Mrs. Rubinez said, "Deanne, do you want to be Judy's friend again?" "Well, I don't see how we can be friends again after all the nasty things she said about me," Deanne replied. Judy blurted out, "What about all the nasty things she said about me?" The teacher broke in and said, "Well, I want you both to think about something. These things happen, and a friendship can be hurt. But that doesn't have to be the end of the friendship. It can be repaired." With that, Mrs. Rubinez picked up a bar of steel that she used in a physics experiment. "Look at this steel bar," she said. It was broken and welded back together again. The bar is now stronger at the place where it was broken. Just as the steel bar was repaired, a friendship can be welded back together again. Similarly, you can be friends again, but that can only happen if you are able to forgive each other. The key is being able to forgive. The girls were very quiet as they thought about what Mrs. Rubinez had said. Deanne was the first to respond. "You're right, Mrs. Rubinez. I'll tell you how I feel about it. I only said those things because I was mad. Turning to Judy, she went on, "Sorry, Judy. I'd like to be friends again." "I'm sorry too, Deanne," Judy said, "for saying those nasty things." A smile came over her face as she continued, "Come on, Deanne, let's go to my house." Before leaving, the girls thanked Mrs. Rubinez for her help. As the teacher watched them leave, she felt happy. Happy because the girls were on the way to repairing their friendship. But happy most of all because she had been able to teach them the importance of forgiveness. The next story. Wrong no matter what. Bill, a high school senior, was desperate to graduate, but he was worried. He was a borderline student. His worst subject was math, and his math teacher offered to tutor him each day after school. Tom, another senior preparing for graduation, also showed up for the tutorials. The day before the final math exam, Tom saw Bill steal a copy of the exam. Tom was outraged and told Bill he would not let him get away with it. Stealing and cheating are wrong, no matter what. Wrong, no matter what. Bill was worried. He was a senior in high school, and he knew that if he did not pass the final math exam, he would not graduate with his class. He just could not bear to think about that happening. Bill was bright enough, but he was always involved in many activities that left too little time for his schoolwork, and his grades suffered. He was a borderline student, and his worst subject was math. A month or so before the final exams, his math teacher, Mr. Lynch, told Bill he wanted to help him and was willing to tutor him each day after school. So, shortly after this, Bill began his tutorials. There was only one other student, Tom Clark, taking the tutorials. He too was a senior, but Bill did not know him well. Mr. Lynch told him that each day he would give them math problems that they would have to work out on the blackboard. As the days went by, Bill felt that the tutoring was helping him somewhat, but he also knew that he continued to make too many mistakes. Tom, on the other hand, seemed to be improving every day. One day after the tutorial, Bill talked to Tom about this, and Tom said, "Mr. Lynch is helping me, but I go home and work on the problems every night." Bill said, "I never have time to do that. I'm always busy doing so many other things." Tom just shrugged and said nothing. It was their last tutorial. The final math exam was the next day. Bill and Tom had just finished the first set of problems and were erasing the blackboard. Mr. Lynch was about to give them more problems to work on when the principal came into the classroom. "Mr. Lynch, could you come to my office?" the principal said. "Sorry for disturbing you, but it will only take a few minutes." Here's a picture of Tom Clark and Bill. Right there. Tom and Bill. The teacher rose from the desk saying, "Back in a moment," and left the classroom. As Bill erased the blackboard, he saw a folder lying on the teacher's desk. He wondered if the final math exam was in it. Moving over to the desk, he nervously opened the folder and couldn't believe it when he saw a stack of monographed papers. Copies of tomorrow's exam. He quickly took a copy, folded it, and stuffed it in his pocket. He barely had time to close the folder and step away from the desk before Mr. Lynch returned. When the tutorial ended, the teacher told them he hoped they would do well in the exam. Bill and Tom thanked him for his help and left. On their way out of the school, Bill hurried well ahead, but Tom caught up with him in the parking lot and said, "I saw what you did, and I want to talk to you about it. You stole a copy of tomorrow's exam." "So what? It's none of your business," Bill replied. "Oh yes, it is my business. You're going to cheat in the exam, and that's not fair to me or the others taking the exam." "Okay," Bill said. "Do you want to see it?" Tom threw up his arms in frustration. "Don't you understand that what you did was wrong? And now you're asking me to go along with something else that's wrong? Cheating?" "It's easy for you to talk that way," Bill said. "You can pass that exam tomorrow. I know I can't. I'll do anything to make sure I graduate." "Look," Tom told him, "I'm not going to let you get away with this. It's unfair, and I won't let it happen." "There's nothing you can do about it," Bill said coldly. "There's something I can do," Tom said, his eyes glinting angrily behind his glasses. "If you don't go right now and tell Mr. Lynch what you did, I'll tell him." Bill saw that Tom was deadly serious, and he began to feel scared. Scared of going to tell Mr. Lynch what he had done, but even more scared of what would happen if Tom told the teacher. As he did it, or as he thought about it, he realized there was more to it than being scared. When he took the exam from the folder, he hadn't thought of that as stealing, nor had he thought of it as being unfair to others taking the exam. Tom broke into his thoughts. Well, what's it going to be? What do you all think Bill did? Do you think he went and told Mr. Lynch? Or do you think Tom had to tell Mr. Lynch because Bill would not do it? Well, let's get to the answer. After a long silence, Bill said, I'll go tell Mr. Lynch. The next story. You don't become a star overnight. Patty was hoping to get the leading role in the school play and was very disappointed when the director named another girl to play the lead. The director asked Patty to do the understudy, but she refused. The director, however, took the time to explain to her that she had great talent but had to learn patience. Her time would come. Patty reluctantly agreed to be the understudy. Just before opening night, the girl who was to play the lead had an accident. Patty took her role and gave a fine performance. Her experience helped Patty learn the value of patience. You don't become a star overnight. There's the lead actress, and there's Patty, the understudy. Patty was hoping to get the leading role in the school play. She knew, however, that she was competing with one of her classmates, Jackie, who was also trying out for the lead. Patty had put a lot of work into memorizing her part and felt she had done well at the rehearsals. So she was very disappointed when Mr. Berenson, the director, announced that Jackie would play the lead. There's Mr. Berenson, the director. Later, Mr. Berenson told Patty he had to talk to her. I want you to know, Patty, he told her, that this was a very hard decision for me to make. You are very talented, and you did well in the rehearsals, but there can only be one leading lady, and Jackie has more acting experience. Patty said nothing, and Mr. Berenson continued, I want you to be the understudy for the leading role. Striving to hide her feelings, Patty thought, understudy? Why should I be the understudy? I worked hard for the lead. If I can have it, why should I take second place? That's what she thought. But what she said was, thank you, Mr. Berenson, but I really don't want to do that. Understanding Patty's disappointment, Mr. Berenson said, I know how you feel. You don't see why you should settle for the understudy role after working so hard. But think about this. No one becomes a star overnight. You have to have patience. You'll learn a lot as the understudy. And I know you'll be ready for the leading role in our next play. Patty was still not convinced. But that night she thought seriously about what Mr. Berenson had said, and next day she told him she would take the understudy role. At first it was difficult for Patty. At rehearsals it hurt to have to stand backstage following the script while Jackie played the part she so wanted. At times, she felt she could not go through with this, but then she would recall what Mr. Berenson had said about the need for patience, and that gave her the determination to stay with it. As the rehearsals continued, she began to realize she really was learning a lot. Mr. Berenson was a first-class director, and she had to admit that Jackie was good. She was poised and moved well on the stage. Her experience shows, Patty told herself. 3 days before the play was due to open, Mr. Berenson stopped Patty in the hallway at school. He looked very solemn as he said, Have you heard what happened to Jackie this morning? No, I haven't, Patty replied. This is rotten luck, he went on. The poor girl fell during gym class this morning and broke her ankle. She'll have to be on crutches for some time. This was a movie. Plot twist. Patty was the reason she sprained her ankle, but it's not. It's a book. Oh, I'm sorry, Patty cried. That's terrible. The doctor says her ankle will heal well, Mr. Berenson said. But you know what this means. You have to take over. For a moment, Patty didn't know what to think. Now she'd be playing the lead. Mr. Berenson told her it was only natural for her to be scared, that he was confident she would do well. With all kinds of thoughts racing around in her head, Patty said, I'll do my best. On the opening night, Patty's best was very good indeed. She did an outstanding job in the leading role. Backstage after the play, Mr. Pearson rushed up to her and cried out, "Congratulations, Patty, you were great!" Then he went on, "You certainly learned a lot about acting during the past few weeks. You really worked at being Jackie's understudy." "Thank you," Patty replied, "but I owe it all to you. I learned from you a lot about acting, but you also taught me something more important. You taught me that patience pays off." Mr. Barrison nodded and said, "Yes, Patty, patience does pay off. And that is true not just in acting, but in whatever we do." And right now we're in a time where uncertainty is rife. Every day we wake up not knowing whether we're out of the lockdown, whether we're in the lockdown, whether the deaths are rising, whether the cases are rising, whether they're falling. And so once we get the information, then we become a little more certain about what's going on. But we need to be patient during this time to allow the health practitioners, the health officials, the essential personnel to do their jobs to ensure that we all stay healthy and that those that are being treated are being treated efficiently and effectively. So be patient, stay inside, and stay locked down. All right? And now we do a little bit of stretching. Right now we've read. All right? If you've been active throughout the day, and if you haven't been active throughout the day, this will assist a little bit. Today we're going to focus on the upper body, specifically the neck. All right? So we're going to take our head, lean it to one side, left or right, then take that corresponding hand and just put it on top of the head and let gravity pull the arm down. Do not push the head down. Lean the head, let the hand sit on top. We're going to hold it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release, head back to the other side, hand on top of the head. Let the elbow relax, let gravity do its job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release the hand. Let the head come back up. Then we're going to interlock the fingers. Put it on the back of the head. Don't pull down, just like gravity works. You pull your chin to your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release the hands. Head come back up. Then the head, pull it to the back of the head. Try to get the back of the head to the back of your back, to the top of your back, excuse me. And then side to side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking your time. 5, 6. And then come back. And then we're going to do 3 rotations to the left, 3 full rotations to the right. Chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head to the top of the back, ear to shoulder, chin to chest. Relaxing those shoulders while you do it. Keep those shoulders relaxed. And then rotate. Taking your time. Good. And that's 1 set. You're going to repeat that 2 more times for a total of 3. Remember, hand on the head, let it relax, hold it for count of 7. Do that both sides. With those fingers interlocked, chin to chest. Hands on top of the head, don't pull down, just let gravity do its job. Relax them. All right, then you come up, back of the head to the top of the back, rotate side to side, 3 times each side. Then for rotation, chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head to back, ear to shoulder, chin to chest. One direction 3 times, and the opposite direction 3 times. Thank you. Once again, this is Reading with Gardea. Reading and stretching with Gardea. We're adding stretching now, but it'll always be reading with Gardea, and we'll add some physical fitness components so we work our mind and our bodies.